Everyone is responsible for vocations to the priesthood. Everyone is responsible for the cultivation of those vocations and the rearing of young men and the raising of education of young men to respond to the call that God is giving to them. That has to do with both supporting them in the parishes, as it were, identifying those men with those qualities, those characteristics of virtue and desire that are seedlings inside of them and promoting them, but it also is brass tacks. We have to be able to feed them. We have to be able to clothe them. We have to be able to house them. Those who are given the responsibility of a vocation to the priesthood and to preaching have to do the arduous work of climbing the mountain, to receive the water and bringing it down to the faithful. That kind of work is the labor of studying philosophy, the labor of studying theology, the labor of growing in a prayer life, learning the pastoral life, etc. And because they're engaged in that, they can't go out and have a normal job. And so we take care of them for that time period. As St. Paul said, the laborer is worth his wage. And in this case, the laborer is laboring to prepare himself to serve, to be able to have something to offer to the faithful. Not just the grace of the sacrament, which is automatic by virtue of ordination, but also that which comes with it, that is to say, right teaching and right belief and right pastoral practice of servant leadership, to be able to give back to the faithful for their time that they invested in them. It's a beautiful symbiosis that takes place between the faithful and their priests, because the priests don't happen without the faithful supporting them. And then of course the priest is not necessary unless there are faithful. And so he kind of begins then to give back to them who first invested in him. I think that the faithful have been rocked in terms of their confidence in priests, rightly so. The only way to bypass that or to get over that rather large obstacle is to get engaged. I mean, if everyone is working together and you see faces, you can't believe something wrong. It's difficult to believe something wrong about a person with whom you're having constant contact, with whom you're speaking, with whom you're living, with whom you're engaged in the work together. And so the only way in which the priesthood's going to be built back up is by everyone somehow getting involved and not saying, well, we'll see what kind of priest comes out of that place. If it's a good priest, I'll support it. And the idea of the seminary is not just for seminarians. The idea of the seminary is that, yes, this is the place where young men are formed for the priesthood, but this is an epicenter of Catholicism. It's an epicenter for formation. So diaconal formation, lay formation, retreats, things of that nature. You can only really have those if you have sufficient spaces for them. And that means a chapel that people can actually come to engage in the sacraments, to come and have retreats and talks and so forth. We want to be in a position where we can offer retreats and talks and speakers and things of that nature and formative events for the rest of the faithful, making this really a place of learning, a place of prayer for everyone in the diocese in different capacities. Now that the building is finished, we have a little bit of cleanup work to do. Our advanced donors have done an unbelievable job. We're looking for everyone to get engaged, to say, I take responsibility for the kinds of priests that get formed. What we're asking is that every single parish get involved in some fashion. Every single parishioner in every parish get involved in some fashion. There are certainly ways to get involved spiritually. That's a given, and that has to be, or we wouldn't exist. Because God waters the plant of this seminary because the faithful are asking for it. And He's answered. And because He answered those prayers, what are we going to do with the plant that's now growing and growing in such abundance? Everyone comes to meet the men, to speak to the priests that work with them, but especially to get to know the individuals who will one day be the vessel of that priesthood.